Hi, it's Luke from the Leicester Property Blog and Knightsbridge Estate Agents and Valuers, and today I wanted to talk about an interesting statistics that we've looked at, and that's about how many Leicester homeowners have actually paid their mortgage off. Now, the government's annual housing survey is 50 years old this year, and it's actually taken a snapshot of the UK property market every year since 1969, and it's recently published its 2018 report. And it wasn't a surprise that owner occupation is still the most predominant tenure. Yet now more people own their own home without a mortgage rather than having a mortgage, as the number of people buying their first home, obviously with a mortgage, has declined since the Millennium. The report also shows homeowners, mortgaged and owned outright, are on average older than renters. And between the homeowners themselves, those who are mortgage free are older than those with a mortgage, which I suppose makes sense. Looking at the most recent data for Leicester, I wanted to see how we compared to the national picture, therefore focusing upon the four main tenures of owned outright, owned with a mortgage, social housing, for example housing association or council housing, and the private rented sector. And this is what I found. So looking at the statistics, you can see that home ownership in Leicester and the council area as a whole, both owned and owned with a mortgage combined, is lower in the 25 to 30 year old age range compared to the 35 to 49 year old price range. Yet roll the clock back to the 1980s and the opposite was the case. So how many local homeowners have actually paid off their mortgage? Now, looking at Leicester, 45.2% of homeowners are actually mortgage free, yet of the 19,404 households that are owned by a 50 to 64 year old in Leicester, 52% of those still have a mortgage on their home. As most people first bought their house in their early to mid 20s back in the 1980s, this shows that a lot of Leicester people must have remortgaged in the past and extended their borrowings. Otherwise, they should have probably paid their mortgage off by now. Now, another interesting fact is that, and one that probably concerns me a little, is that 13.3% of Leicester homeowners aged 65 years and over still have a mortgage on their home. Now, if you amalgamate the national historic ranges going back to 1977, you'll see in this graph here that the number of people who own a property with a mortgage has actually been dropping since the Millennium. Yet nationally, the number of people who own a property has remained roughly the same, even with the growth of the private rented sector. Reports in the industry suggest that in the next 10 years that will increase, as nearly 1 in 5 homeowners will still be paying off their mortgage after retirement. One of the reasons behind that will be the legacy of interest-only loans and delayed first-time buyers, as we become more and more like Germany in our house ownership models, where people naturally rent their homes until their 50s and then buy when they inherit money from their parents. In the meantime, demand for Leicester rental properties will only increase, so good news for Leicester buy-to-let landlords and indirectly Leicester homeowners as well. If you'd like more information about what's going on in the Leicester property market, or would like to know where is a good area to buy, is this property a good purchase, please get in touch. My contact details are below and I'd love to help.